The dojo training program was founded on 3 principles. And the first of these was that players needed to play longer games and analyze those games. And of all the principles, this was the one where I had the most misgivings. I was like, are people really going to do it, right? It was a real question for me when we started this about 2+ years ago. And what happened was really a miracle in that with my own personal students, before the training program, I had really bad luck getting my students to go over their games. But then a kind of magical thing happened with the dojo, and that many players, not everyone, but many players were submitting their games across all the variety of skill levels, were submitting their games and doing really good, deep work. And I think a key reason why this happened was the second part of what Botvinnik said. So Botvinnik said, you need to go over your games, and everybody kind of understood that. But the second part was you had to publish them. Now, when I started this journey myself, trying to, annotate my games, you didn't have a place to publish them. It wasn't possible. Maybe Botvinnik could do it because he had the organ of the Soviet state to publish his stuff, but not everybody could. And the real trick of publishing is when you publish something, you are making your thoughts as clear as possible. You can't just write a bunch of chicken scratch variations, right? It has to be made clear. And so many of the players in the dojo have done that and have improved their game tremendously by doing so. So fast forward a couple of years, we now finally have a game editor and viewer, database viewer, that is truly elegant. Something, a technological feat to match the principle that we began with. And so I'm very thankful for it. And this really credit goes to Jack Stenglein, who's been with the dojo a while. He's the one who's created a lot of the beauty behind the site. Okay, so I'm going to now just give you a little tour and show you how to do it. This, for example, is a cohort. This is the 1100 to 1200 cohort, and we reduced everything to FIDE ratings to make it understandable, because you have Lichess ratings, ChessCom, and so forth, right? So this is the 1100, and what we're going to do is we're going to click games. Okay, it'll automatically take you to your cohort and the games that are in your cohort, and you could search by player, by ECO, position, and your own games. You could do it by start and end date, right? Now, what I want to first do, though, is show you this with submit a game. You can bring in your PGN from just a single chapter of Lichess, or just like, let's say you have 20 games in there, you've annotated them, they're ready to go to the dojo, boom, you put it in there. You can obviously also copy and paste, right? Now, one of the things about this is that it'll be either public or unlisted. Public will just mean that it's part of our database and that players in the program can see it. If you want, you can use this without being a training program member. And all it would mean is that you would just keep your games unlisted. But as it is unlisted, you can still send links to people of the PGN and the analysis, fine. Right? It just won't be part of the official database. So anybody can use this beautiful interface that I'm showing today. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to say starting position, and we'll say Jesse versus Joey, and we'll say Joey beat me, and we'll say this happened today. Right? And so it'll be unlisted because we haven't done anything with it yet. It first has to be at least annotated before it goes to be published in this amazing database that we have. Okay. So here you can edit the fields over here. And here we have the ability to do the dojo database, so all the games within the dojo database, or the Lichess database, if you want to look at your openings or the opening moves of the game. And then if we go back, we can see as well that, let's say we play here, we have all of these beautiful glyphs, or whatever you want to call them, annotation markers that you can use throughout the annotation. And that's pretty, consistent with Lichess or ChessCom or whatever it is. Now, there are two things that I think make our game editor better than any of the other ones out there. Better especially for our purposes. Number one is the other editors, the one on Chess.com and Lichess, the most popular. They instantly kind of force you into using a computer analysis of your position. And what we want here at the dojo is really for you to see the game with your own eyes. If you want to improve, that's the way you have to do it. You can check it after, but you really want to do a deep analysis of what happened in the game without the computer. And so there is no stockfish hidden in here. You cannot even be tempted to use stockfish. So that's number one. And then the second thing that I really like about this, and this I've been telling ChessSpace for years. I'm an old timer, been using ChessSpace since the last millennium, and I've been screaming at them. I said, people, you need to be able to write in the clock time of every move. It's a very important part of the game. How much time did you and your opponent use? And then when you analyze the game, you need to think about, oh, I did think for an outrageously long period of time there. Or, oh, I didn't think long enough. And I'll just show you two quick examples of this because I love the graph so much. So this was a game that I played. And if I look at the clock usage, we have remaining clock time by move. And I was the white player, and so I'm in the blue. And it just tells a story. I think I ended up with like 8 minutes at the end, and my opponent was, living on the increment at the very end of this for the longest time. And it tells a story of what happened in the game that without it, you can kind of have a sense, but this tells the time story. Right? You could have a computer tell you a graph story, of evaluation. You could also write your own evaluations, and that's cool. But this tells the clock time story, and I'm really happy for it. Let me show you just another example. So this game is from Jack against some kid he played at his local club. And what is the story here? As is so often, the kid is playing a longer time control game and basically is not even thinking. Gets and loses, right? Doesn't even have the ability to sit and think. And that's something we see in a lot of the lower cohorts is people don't have the system 2 thinking ability to just sit there and think about a position. And so we oftentimes get this kind of graph, especially when games are played online too, because then people are distracted, and they're just impulsively making moves. So, I just want to show a couple more things. I think it's so cool with the Dojo database. Some of these positions, in fact, are mine in this game because I've had this variation a bunch. But then you go Lichess database, it's all there. Another great feature about this that I really like, and this is really something that Lichess invented, so I want to give them credit, is if you're doing the chess.com studies, the classroom, it is terrible in the sense that you can lose your analysis so quickly. So quickly, the analysis can just be gone. But this editor, and as well as the Lichess one, will just instantly back it up. So you don't have to hit save all the time. Fantastic. Another thing you can do here is you can copy the link to this thing right here, this page where the analysis is, the position, or the whole game PGN, all the moves, right? So that's it in a nutshell. And maybe what I will do next is just show a little bit of how beautiful this database is. Let's say I go 1200 or 1300, it could be anything. And then we have this full list of 155 games that have been submitted in this cohort, right, by a variety of people. And one of the cool things I want to say about this whole experiment is you can see people getting better with their annotations, and I do a graduation show every week. Those are players who have moved from one cohort to 100 points, the 100 points higher above that, say 11 to 12 to 12 to 13. And the people who are moving up are the people who are getting good at this kind of game analysis. So we finally have it, a beautiful piece of user interface for people to do their game editing on the site. We have the, the whole ability to search our database, of course, and this is the path to progress. Bye.